High in the Himalayan mountains, remote region where the air is thin and time seems to stand still, lies Ladakh, a land shaped by wind, prayer, and silence. Here come cold deserts and snow covered peaks, stands Hemis Gumpa, one of the oldest and most revered Buddhist monasteries in the region. For centuries, monks have lived here in quiet devotion, preserving ancient knowledge passed down through generations. But hidden within this silence is a story that dares to ask one of history's most unsettling questions. What if Jesus Christ spent his last years in the East? The New Testament tells us about Jesus as a child, astonishing scholars in Temple of Jerusalem at the age of 12, then silence. For the next 18 years, the Gospels almost said nothing of Jesus. Ancient traditions from India, Tibet, and Central Asia speak of a young spiritual seeker known as Isa. According to these sources, Isa came from the west, a land of Jews, and traveled eastward along the great trade route later known as Silk Road. He lived among sages, studied sacred texts, and learned from Hindu and Buddhist teachers. The traditions describe Isa as a man who rejected caste divisions, challenged ritual hypocrisy, and taught compassion for the poor and oppressed. His teachings, they said, blended Eastern wisdom with a deep moral clarity, ideas that would later echo powerfully in his sermons in Palestine. According to these accounts, Isa eventually reached the Himalayan region, Ladakh and Kashmir. Here, surrounded by monks and mythics, he spent years in contemplation. The mountains became his teachers, silence became his guide. To many, the Himalayas were not a destination, they were a transformation hub. He studied Buddhism, he studied Ayurveda, he studied religion. You can tell Christianity as the Buddhism of the West. Here only he got all that knowledge which he used later in his preachings. In the year 1987, a Russian journalist named Nicholas Northwich traveled through India and Central Asia. While exploring Ladakh, he suffered a serious accident and was brought to Hemis monastery to recover. During his stay, Northwich claimed that monks shared something extraordinary with him: ancient Tibetan manuscripts, carefully preserved and rarely shown to outsiders. He said, these texts spoke of Isa, described as the best of sons of men. They detailed his journey from Israel to India, his years of study in the East, and his eventual return to the West, where he could face persecution and crucifixion. They showed him all the manuscripts, and he, on his notebook, changed them. According to Notovich, the manuscripts were not Christian texts, they were Buddhist records. Notovich later compiled these accounts into a book titled The Unknown Life of Jesus Christ. When the book was published, it sent shockwaves throughout the world. Religious institutions rejected it, scholars attacked its credibility, some accused Notovich of fabrication. No definitive proof ever managed to completely disprove his claims. Perhaps the reason this story survives is not because it threatens faith, but because it deepens it. A Jesus who searched, learned, and grew. A Jesus who walked the long roads of humanity before speaking to the world. Hemis Gumpa still stands today, unchanged by the noise beyond its wall, and maybe some truths are not meant to be confirmed or denied, only contemplate it. Because sometimes history whispers and it is up to us.